What will Arjun Devraj need on the hostile planet Carcosa in Housemarque's next masterpiece Saros on April 30th? You guessed it, guns. Lots of guns. In this video, I'm going to break down every gun and offensive firepower capability shown in the trailers so far in detail. They are the pistol, the shotgun, an assault rifle, what I'm calling the plasma double crossbow, 3 different power weapons, and a bonus portion at the end of this video that will include a really cool looking offensive ability of Arjun's. I'm happy to have you here with me on this one. Now it's time to break down all of Arjun's firepower seen in the trailers of Saros so far. Let's go. The pistol can be seen in both cutscenes and gameplay clips. It appears to be the Saltari Enforcer's default sidearm. Arjun is a Saltari Enforcer. He and some of his colleagues, his fellow enforcers, are seen with the pistol sidearm throughout the cutscenes. During gameplay clips, Arjun is seen rocking it twice. Once, it's seen shooting off a purple beam of energy that seems to have more of an unconventional bullet path. It looks like it's less of a projectile being fired and more of a spray of energy. However, in the next clip, when Arjun is firing up at this massive creature in the distance, the trajectory of the bullet path from the pistol looks more traditional. The energy wave of the propelled bullet is white this time, and it's clearly a single fire shot from the pistol. The shotgun was seen all the way back a year ago in February of 2025 when the first cinematic reveal trailer for Saros was released. Arjun awakens on the shores of the Lake of Carcosa and walks towards this figure. I'm going to talk about my top 5 theories about the story of Saros in a soon-to-be-released video, so come back for that one. I have some thoughts on who this figure is that I'll share in that video. As he approaches the dark figure, Arjun raises his shotgun, signaling that it spins to the current barrel that is loaded with a shotgun shell, fires, then spins again to the next loaded barrel. A very cool feature. Combat of the shotgun being used was then showed off a lot in the first State of Play overview trailer released last year in November. It has 5 rounds, and although it is a shotgun, its effective range is quite far. Arjun is seen wiping out several enemies far off in the distance with efficiency, one shot after the next. And then in the latest State of Play's ending sizzle reel, the shotgun is seen again here. It shoots off a different firing mode. Arjun aims down the sights and an arced red trajectory path comes up, showing where the impact will be for perfect precision. As Arjun fires, the shotgun fires out 2 shells and the impact is something akin to a mortar. The enemy explodes in a brilliant flash of white. And then in the same sizzle reel, the shotgun is seen again, but this time with an increased ammo capacity size. Now 6 shells are seen on the HUD, signaling that guns will be able to have an upgraded ammo capacity. There are 2 different firing modes of the assault rifles seen so far. Now in Returnal, Celine's assault rifle had 3 different firing capabilities: regular, heavy payload rounds, which were my favorite, and rising pitch, which was a function the assault rifle had to fire progressively faster rounds the longer Celine held down on the assault rifle's trigger. But the firing mode of Returnal's assault rifle was given to Celine at random. Whatever firing mode the assault rifle Celine picked up across the different biomes was what she had to rock. With the 2 different confirmed firing modes of the assault rifle, I'm kinda hoping that instead of it being random, Arjun will be able to switch which mode to use. Alright, let's break down the 2 different projectile paths of the assault rifle. One has a more traditional projectile path, straight single shots, but the other is a dual shot, with projectile pathways that splay outward, then hone back in on the enemy, meeting back in the middle. Initially, I thought these were 2 different assault rifles, but upon close inspection, this is definitely the same assault rifle. They have identical silhouettes, and the scope is definitely there on both instances. But before moving on to the next weapon type, I want to give Housemarque their flowers in terms of the sound design of the assault rifle. Sound design and Returnal's soundtrack were fire, and it appears Saros is going to have some sound effects that are also top-notch.
I won't break up.
Man, that sounds so good. What I'm calling the double crossbow is shown off for the first time in the latest State of Play overview trailer. It is seen shooting in 3 modes. In the first clip, the crossbow shoots off a tri-beam of purple energy. If you think of this weapon as a sci-fi crossbow, you can imagine it being knocked with 3 arrows, then shot with devastating force forward. Of course, because this would be a futuristic weapon, there are no actual arrows, but you get what I mean. Instead of a decrease in ammunition visual, the UI of this weapon's quote-unquote ammo is the same dark orange colored meter, but instead of the meter being segmented to show each bullet decrementing from the weapon's magazine, it is one solid horizontal bar. Upon the crossbow being fired, the horizontal bar features a progress meter going left to right. This is essentially the crossbow being reloaded, and it cannot fire again until the progress meter goes all the way across to the right. As seen, once it does, Arjun can fire the weapon again. Later in the State of Play trailer, Arjun is rocking the crossbow again, but it features a single shot, a different colored energy, and is able to shoot at greater frequency. Seen here, Arjun continuously fires the crossbow at the enemy, and the progress bar's meter does quickly go from left to right, but Arjun does not need to wait for the meter to go all the way to the right before he can shoot it again. I'm therefore unsure exactly how the frequency mechanic of the crossbow's single shot works. Perhaps because it is a single shot, it is therefore less powerful and requires less of a cooldown/reload period to wait. Although the kill shot to this enemy does initially appear to be a third firing mode from the double crossbow, it actually is a result of Arjun's power weapon. I'll explain a little later when I talk about power weapons. Moving on. At the very end of the February 2026 State of Play trailer, as seen in the montage of combat clips, Arjun fires the crossbow one more time at this aerial enemy, and it is now shooting 5 beams of energy. The horizontal array of plasma shoots true and straight, with the same color as the crossbow's single shot, and this time, the progress meter running horizontally, left to right, does make it all the way to the right before Arjun can fire it again. So with this, we now have confirmed 3 different firing modes of the double crossbow. The power weapons are what I'm looking forward to using the most in Saros. It is Housemarque's next iteration of Returnal's alt-fire feature. I've already explained how the power weapon functions in this video here. In it, I spoke of the first 2 combat trailers in which I dedicated a large portion to the functionality and mechanics of the power weapon and related Soltari shield. But now with Sony's recent State of Play gameplay overview, another functionality of the power weapon was revealed. Returnal's alt-fire modes were basically like the weapon's ultimate. But alt-fire could only be used periodically, as it had a fairly long cooldown. It was an extremely powerful blast of missiles, energy, or plasma, but there were moments of my runs where I completely forgot about using the alt-fire because of the long cooldown. It seems one way Housemarque is remedying this in Saros is to make the power weapon tied to corruption. Creative director Gregory Loudon stated that firing Arjun's power weapon will be the way he cleans corruption from his armor. You can see on the HUD in the lower left-hand corner, Arjun's curved armor integrity meter is filled slightly with a glowing red portion. This is how much corruption he has taken on from enemy fire that is corrupted. In Saros, when an eclipse occurs, the world becomes corrupted. As part of the eclipse, enemies now fire projectiles filled with corruption that decrease Arjun's maximum integrity. Therefore, if Arjun takes fire during an eclipse, his armor will be corrupted. Again, this is visualized on the HUD with this glowing red portion that has infected/corrupted his health bar. Killing an enemy with the power weapon is how corruption is purged little by little. As Arjun does this, you can clearly see an increment of corruption is erased. The integrity meter bar now is cleared of it, and it can potentially be filled again with clean health. The other notable part of the HUD related to the power weapon is its capacity. The light blue horizontal bar front and center underneath the weapon's dark orange ammo storage meter. The width of the power weapon meter is dependent on the capacity it has. Its capacity is tied to the command branch of the armor matrix. The more purchases in the command branch that Arjun makes means an increase to shield and power weapon, straightforward and simple. The other factor that changes the appearance of the light blue power weapon meter is based on which power weapon is equipped. There are 3 that I've deciphered. Going back to the State of Play trailer last November is what appears to be the standard power weapon, a single shot of orange energy with devastating effect. Next is a variation to this. The first power weapon seems to gather energy from the power coupling on the back of Arjun's right shoulder. However, as he fires this blast, it seems to be coming from his right arm itself. Let me first talk about how this weapon is being fired mechanically by the gamer, then I'll talk about the theory I have tied to the lore and story. In Returnal, when Celine aimed down the sights at an enemy, its weak spot showed up on the HUD. It was lit up in red, outlined by a targeting square. The weak spot of several enemies on Atropos was typically the head. This is what is now occurring on this enemy here on Carcosa, but instead of the enemy's weak spot being highlighted in red, it is light blue. I believe this power weapon is being fired by Arjun aiming down the sights. When he does this, a pair of flanking progress bars appear and Arjun cannot fire the power weapon until the meters fill up. When they do, Arjun's power weapon fires off a white beam of energy, the second type of power weapon. This white beam reminds me a lot of the futuristic X-ray energy guns in Arnold's Eraser way back in the day. Man, I used to love that movie, especially these cool, badass looking guns. Okay, back to Saros. The procedure for aiming down the sights with these added progress bars adds another cool layer to the mechanics gamers are going to have to master. What has me curious though is Arjun's arm. I do think part of the story of Saros is that when people initially die, the ones that come back are somehow changed. Credence to this is given directly from this NPC's statement.
I can't believe so many are gone. They didn't all die. Some of them changed.
The cinematic showing Arjun boiling back to life within the passage tells he is clearly changed. I believe that Arjun's initial death on Carcosa somehow resulted in him being able to harness the power of the sun. This is what appears to be the case here, and if that is what happened, then it would explain his ability to shoot this power weapon. The bright white energy appears to be like the power of a star, the sun in Carcosa's solar system, and Arjun's arm itself has the same rock-like structure seen in the clip of him coming back to life. Pretty cool if this is the case. The final power weapon seen at the very end of the most recent State of Play trailer's sizzle reel is this submachine gun-like one. It is clearly a power weapon because Arjun both sticks out his right arm, similar to how he did when shooting off the other two power weapons, and the light blue power weapon meter is slowly being depleted as the blue energy is fired off from Arjun's arm. This power weapon looks like it'll be extremely fun to use and reminds me of Returnal's Holoseeker, a ton of energy blasts to use at Arjun's disposal. There was another weapon fired off from Arjun at the very end of his boss battle with Raboom. By the way, after a quick Google of Raboom, I hope I'm saying that correctly, it's turning up blank, so I don't know where this name is inspired from. But Arjun's offensive capability he unleashes on Raboom is called Overdrive, and the really cool thing about Overdrive is how it is activated. Right before Overdrive is fired, a part of the HUD quickly glows, then goes away. Did you see where? Taking a look at the lower left-hand corner, right underneath the armor integrity meter, there is a small white meter that runs parallel to it, and just below it are the L3 and R3 icons. So similar to Kratos' Rage mode and Eve's Taki mode, Arjun is also going to have a powerful capability via pushing in on the thumbsticks of the PS5 controller. That capability is Overdrive. When L3 and R3 are pushed in, Arjun postures upward like Iron Man and sticks out his chest to fire off a red blast of energy. Because this is linked to L3 and R3, this offensive capability will be Arjun's super, and it will only be able to be fired upon filling up this white bar, something that will most likely slowly be filled upon defeating more and more enemies or naturally fill up over time on its own. Alright guys, that's all I got for this video. Let me know down in the comments what you think of the weapons and firepower Arjun will have to shoot off. There's a lot seen in the trailers, and I'm certain this is only a small fraction of what Saros will have available. I'll be happy to talk to you about the weapons seen in this trailer, ideas you have of other possible weapons, or anything else Saros related. What's up guys? If you want to check out another video of mine previewing Saros, check that one out right here. I'll jump down into the comment section to keep up the discussion with you all there. See you on the next one. Peace.